like stay outside the studio, like
Hey.
outside my studio. And he's like, no, 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 I'll be inside. I'm like, no,
He's like,
no.
I make the rules here.
Yeah.
What's happening,
Hey,
ladies?
Jess, how are
Hi,
you?
Jess. I'm good. You can hear me okay and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
Perfect. You guys, the party got started a little bit sooner than I thought. Yay. Angela's here.
Yeah.
Hi, how are you? I'm so good. I'm so happy to see your face.
I know. I know.
Hi,
It's been a
Angela's
long time. I'm
face.
sorry.
Oh
It
my
looks
God.
so beautiful.
My screen is all weird. How do I get all of the people in one place? Oh, you go to
Oh,
up to view,
uh-huh.
and then you can choose like gallery view, or you can
All
choose
I
like,
have is show participants and show chat.
huh,
That
even in
doesn't look
view. I have multi-speaker,
in view, right? Yeah.
speaker gallery,
Oh, gallery
multi-speaker.
view. I found it. Okay, cool.
Perfect.
There we go. That's
Yes.
better. So I
So,
can see everybody.
hooray, Gabby, I love your background and
I
like
know.
you look
Thank
so
you.
pretty with the papa red and like,
So excited. I'm on location. I was telling Angela that my son didn't want to stay with my neighbor and her son for the play date, and he just wanted me to like come. I'm like, I mean, this is where we live. This like it's the clubhouse.
Uh-huh.
So my house is like right there.
That's
He
silly.
doesn't want to stay. And my husband is out of town, so he's like, "No, I don't want to stay."
Happens, right?
It
I
happens.
mean,
How
what
old
can
is
you,
he now? He's 8.
8. Oh yeah. Soon enough, he's gonna be a teenager and he's gonna be like, leave me alone forever.
Right?
That's what I was gonna tell you. Honestly, it happens like this fast. And
Yeah.
I literally, my oldest, like this month of the month of May, so we're launching a little bit ahead of ourselves, or whatever, doesn't matter. Um, cut that out. My son has been graduated from high school for
Wow.
a year, 1 year. Like
Already.
the high school is having graduation. Like we're hearing them getting ready and preparing and la la la. Yes, he like has been out. Like he took a gap, like a half gap year, right? So he didn't go in. He didn't get in till spring. So he's doing a virtual semester this semester, and then he started in January. So he had like the fall off and like worked, and then he worked during the summer. He had a little summer break before that when he graduated. So 1 year, you guys. He is
Wow.
going to be leaving. He's moving out in August.
You're
Like,
kidding.
so
I don't know how you feel about that.
I remember taking him to preschool, you guys, like dropping him off at preschool, and he was like, bye. And I was like sobbing in the car, and he was totally fine. But then, like, 2 weeks later, he's like, I'm not going back. Like he freaked out like 2 weeks later, which either they freak out in the beginning or they freak out like a little like delayed, right? Like they're always going to freak out about something. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to be driving him up to school and dropping him off, and I'm going to be a freaking mess.
Yeah.
And he's gonna
Yeah.
be like, see ya.
But
I
two
can
weeks
believe
later,
him.
he's gonna be like, "Mom, I miss you. Come pick me
I know.
up."
Well,
Yep.
today he comes out and he's like, I'm starving. I'm like, Howard, what? Like, I was like, he's like, can you make me something? And I was like, what do you want? So I made him egg in a hole. And
That's
he,
a
like,
bread with the hole in the middle, right?
yeah,
And
yeah,
eggs
yeah,
in the
yeah,
middle. Okay, cool,
yeah.
cool.
I'm like, how are you gonna eat?
I know. How are you gonna survive, kid? That's
That's
funny.
fine. They
My
should be
son
fine.
turns 16 next week.
Hmm.
So,
Oh my God.
we're on those milestones too, but like he's definitely that kind of kid too, where he's like, I'm hungry. Can you make me something? And I'm like, what do you want? Peanut butter sandwich. You could make a peanut butter.
Right.
No, I'm not making that for you. Matter of fact, make me one too.
Right, 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 right. Meanwhile, my youngest is like, running the house. He's like managing the dogs. Like he's like doing all this
Wow.
stuff. Like he's an old soul. He's an old soul for
Yeah,
sure.
your youngest is. He really is.
He is, he is. But speaking of that, like last night, like why do the kids do this? It's like 11:30. We stayed up a little bit no longer than normal because we're rewatching Breaking Bad. My husband and I are rewatching Breaking Bad. We were supposed to be rewatching it with our middle, who's 14, or he's going to be 15 this fall. And we thought, well, if you watch it with us, like, we're okay with it. Well,
Sure.
he went ahead and watched the whole thing by himself without like letting us know. Like we started it with him and then he just didn't want to wait. So, anyways. That's like a real thing. You start a show with someone and then you are waiting to watch the next
Yep.
episode and like yeah, anyways. So my youngest started watching it with us and we're like, I don't think this is appropriate for you. So he's just been up playing video games. It's a holiday weekend. And all of a sudden, like I go to say goodnight to him. I'm like, all right, good night. Like if you stay up late, like my rule is you just go to bed. Like there's no la 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 stuff, right? He's like, oh my God, my foot itches. It's itching me so bad. And I'm like, it's 11:30 at night. Like all of a sudden now, like that world is ending because your freaking foot itches. Like, kid, go to bed. Like
Try,
I was like
try, give him, credit for trying to stay up late later.
that, but it's like if he asks to stay up later, I let him stay up later. I don't mind. Like I'm going to bed. Like I'm at a point now with kids, like they're old enough now where I'm going to bed. Like I'm not waiting for you to go to bed. Like that's it, you know?
Yeah.
But it was like, why do you like why your foot was probably itching you at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. Like you had
No.
to wait till like 11:30 where I'm like tired, I'm ready to go to bed. Like that's when you're gonna tell me?
Oh yeah, it's always at the end. It's always at the end, right? When you're about to go to sleep, you're about to relax. It's like, oh, um, mom.
The world is ending. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
My
Some,
son is so we have like I live in it's a three-story house, so he lives way upstairs in the top floor, and then I live in the basement, and we have the laundry room in the basement. So
oh,
9 o'clock, 10 o'clock at night, Mom, I need to do laundry.
yeah.
What do you mean? I don't have any school clothes for Monday. What do you mean? You had all
Why?
weekend, and now you want to do it at 10 o'clock at night on a Sunday.
Oh my
Every
God.
every single time.
Your
So
son and my son are probably going to be friends because that is like my 15-year-old and your almost 16-year-old. My almost like same thing. It's like
yep.
Sunday night at like 9:30 at night and he's like, I don't have any clothes. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, you were playing video games all day today. Like,
Yeah.
I literally told the man babe, I was like, don't do his laundry.
Hmm.
Don't do it. Because like he's never gonna learn. Like he needs to be up on like a Monday morning at 7:15 because he goes in a little bit later, the middle school did. Does not he's going to high school next year, but like he needs to know what it feels like to like have nothing to wear and to have to wear something dirty to
Right.
school,
Yeah.
to like have it click. Like, yeah. So
I was hoping that would work for him, but it just got worse. Got worse. So I had to go in there and like, look.
like
I'm
he's
so
good.
sorry to be in the
Yes.
background.
Hi.
Hi, Monica.
Hi,
Welcome, welcome. How are you?
I'm good. Nice to see you guys.
Yeah,
Ew.
we're so happy that you're joining us at the chaos table. I'm Jocelyn. This
Angela.
you know Gabby.
Hi.
Yes,
Long time no see. I think the last time we saw each other was at our high school graduation.
Oh my God,
Wow.
that's a long time.
Yeah,
No? Yeah.
it's been a really long time.
really
It's
long time.
good to
Oh,
see you, Gabby,
It's
I'm
and
good to see
everybody.
you too.
I'm so glad that Gabby brought you to the chaos table because I think she wants to talk about a topic that we always kind of dance around, touch on, And I was thinking about
Definitely.
this today. I am working full time now and also full time with my acting career. And, things don't always go according to plan in life, right? Like you set out one way and then you end up down a different pathway or
Mhm.
whatever. So I'm excited to hear about your path, but today I was like, I'm going to take time for myself. Like, I'm going to order the groceries. Gabby, we talked about this before. I'm ordering the groceries. I still had to go to the store though. I had to go to the other store and I still spent more money. So that's like a whole nother story. But, anyways, I digress. But I'm like, I'm going to go to the pool. I'm not cleaning the house. No. And then it storms for the first time. Rainy season's kicking in here and it storms. I'm like, well, I guess
Mhm.
I'm not going to the pool. I'm cleaning. But it was like, like sometimes you just need to take time for yourself and just, do that. So, anyways, I'm gonna hand it over to Gabby.
Okay, I just want to apologize for the music in the background.
I can't hear it, so
Oh, good. I'm
it's
on location.
chaos.
Okay, it's chaos. So it is my great honor to present Monica
Mhm.
Garcia. Uh, she's our special guest for today. She is a beautiful individual who I get to call my friend. We met in high school, and it's such an honor to see what she's accomplished. Um, and all,
And now we
sorry,
have we have ribbits in the background.
my phone just went off. I'm so sorry. Hold on.
No, you're good. You're good. Do you want me to take over?
Hold on. Hold on.
I
Can you
love
hear
the
that?
chaos. Yeah, we can. I
Oh
love
my
the
God.
chaos. That just is like right on brand for mom life
Yep.
and
There we go. Okay. It's the mom. And it's been such an honor to witness everything that you've accomplished. You
Mhm.
are the founder of the Love Yourself Foundation, which helps individuals find ways to manage mental health through and self-love through a creative outlet. Um, so could you tell us a little more about that?
I know. That's so interesting. And it's so cool. That's why I brought up the whole like I'm gonna go to the pool, but then I end up cleaning my house kind of thing. Like it's like self-love, self-healing, mental health. Like it's all in one. So yeah, share with us about Love Yourself
Yes.
Foundation.
Well, again, thank you for having me. And Gabby, thank you for your words. I've really appreciated all your support on social media through this time and also seeing your journey too since high school. So I'm grateful we can be here and for the invitation. So yeah, you pretty much said the mission of our organization. So it's all about spreading that self-love and also connecting it to others, knowing that by you taking care of yourself, you can have bigger capacity to take care of others. And we like to take it one step further as saying that it builds your capacity to care for the world. So whether that's
Mm.
community and our connection to the planet. So we've done a lot over the years. I started the organization, it'll be 7 years this July.
Wow.
So yeah, it's been a long time now. It's crazy, time flies.
Yeah.
And from the beginning, we first launched online because I always wanted to make sure we had an online presence, as that's just how the way the world works now, right? To connect a lot online first. And then later on, we started to incorporate in-person events. And art and music has always been at the heart of what we do. So we started with a open mic actually, where we would infuse meditation and open mic, different workshops, but
Ooh.
all around the message of self-love.
Ah.
So that's how we started to do events in person, and that's how we started to get really connected to the artist community. Also, since we started in Las Vegas, the hospitality community.
Mm-hmm.
And so over time, we've definitely changed what we offer. Now we don't do that event in particular, but we do different events. We continue our outreach online. We've also started branching out to Spain because part of my family is from Spain. So I also spend extended amounts of time out there. So we do workshops out there now as well.
Hmm.
Now our biggest program that we've created, and to date, this would be the biggest program we've had, is a program that would support artists and hospitality workers with their mental health. And it's a program called I Am Love. And the name of the program is actually in memory of a friend of mine that died of suicide. He was the frontman of a local band in Las Vegas, and he passed away in September of 2021. And so during the pandemic, I started to see just how the artist community was being impacted, the hospitality community was being impacted, the lack of support that I saw. And then when my friend passed, it almost just solidified what I was already seeing. And unfortunately, we lost him. And he was such a gem. And one of his songs is titled I Am, and the chorus is I am love, I am peace, I am joy. So, in memory of him, we're grabbing that first line and we're naming our program in memory of him. So, calling it the I Am Love program. So, this program would be a telehealth service to support artists and hospitality workers with their mental health. It's not launched yet. That's our main fundraising project right now. And I'm hopeful that we can launch that program by the end of the year, at least a pilot. And that's kind of where we're at right now.
That's so cool. I mean, not cool, I always know that sometimes something like is going to occur in your lifetime, to like sort of springboard you onto the path that you end up on, and taking something negative and turning it into something positive and bringing light into the darkness, I think is cool. I just wanted to like preface that
Yes.
because
Yes.
losing friends and family is so difficult at any age or stage in your life, and
Hmm.
and everybody processes that differently, and so I am always like in awe of people who take like something negative and create positive with it, so that's like really cool.
Yeah.
Thank you.
If I could ask you a question, as far as like going back to the whole idea of self-love and taking care of yourself before you can take care of, your village at that point. Was there like I guess a canon event that made you think like, this really needs to be put on the forefront?
Absolutely. So the inspiration of the organization is actually from my own story. So in 2016, 2017, I went through an array of challenges, and I had a near-death experience
Oh,
in
wow.
May 19th of 2017. And so when all of those things was happening, it was definitely changing the way I was seeing the world. Previous to that, I was more focused on environmental sustainability. So I was always an environmentalist, still am, but that was my focus. And when I was doing that at work, and then the different occurrences that were happening in my life, and the mental health impact I was having, the experiences I was having, it really made me relook at the whole thing because, like me, like many others out there, I've always been very giving. And so that was kind of like my default. I had no idea what it meant to take care of myself.
Mm-hmm.
And and so when I was going through all those challenges, it showed me the importance that if I'm not good, how can I expect to even take care of somebody else, let alone the planet? So
Mm-hmm.
it's a very long story, but in a nutshell, that's what happened. It was a series of events that made me relook at the way I was seeing myself and the world. And at that point my purpose shifted to being more people focused first, start there, and then from there we can carry on the conversation.
I like
Absolutely.
that.
Absolutely. It's interesting.
Um, Go
Oh, I'm
ahead.
sorry.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just thinking like, I think back at some of the times where, I was kind of struggling with mental health and stuff like that. And because I am also a giver as well, and, kind of one of the more, I don't want to say the responsible one in my family, but, like
Yeah.
I was taking care of a lot of things, a lot of juggling balls. And before I knew it, that I was struggling with mental health, I was already there, So
Mm.
it's interesting to, catch yourself in that moment
Mm-hmm.
and be like, oh, maybe I do need, to talk to somebody, or I need to go and
Mm-hmm.
find somebody because this is not how I should be.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of it had to do with, I wasn't sleeping well. I wasn't, giving myself the time to exercise. I wasn't eating right. That stuff seems like little stuff, but if you're doing that on a constant basis, like there might be something else going on behind the scenes. And I mean, those are like really simple examples, but there's other things like I was struggling at work. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
doing the work I needed to do to keep, I was floating, well, just
Yes.
barely floating.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was those little things that I never really noticed because I was too busy working with other people or working on other people's things that I
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
wasn't noticing that I wasn't, trying
Yes.
anymore. So
Yeah.
That's so relatable though too. I mean, I
Hmm.
think everybody can relate to that for sure. And thank you for sharing.
Yeah, of course.
I I remember like yeah, yeah. Like a couple years ago, it's like I remember thinking like my husband and I have gone through so many different things, like so many challenging things for our like marriage. But usually when the dust settled, it was like, okay, we're good. You know what I'm saying? Like we're good.
Hmm.
I mean, I have a special needs child, like we had other things. We had like we had black mold in our house. I had to move out of the house for
Hmm.
6 weeks and live in my friend's like bonus room out of like laundry baskets and garbage bags. I had two young kids, like a baby, like my middle was a baby, like stuff like that, and having a special needs child just in general, like when he was born so early and he like lived in the hospital, I couldn't bring him home, like things like that. Like that's devastating.
Hmm.
So, but we always were good. But a couple of years ago, it was like, huh, like I feel disconnected from you. We were always on the same page with the four
Hmm.
pillars of finance and religion and, family and love. And I was
Yeah.
like, I feel disconnected from you. And it's like, and then as a woman, I was like, is this my fault?
Hmm.
Like, is this me? Is this like my hormone stage? Like, and then I realized it's like, no. I have been putting out like no, that sounds bad. Okay, I've been like, giving so much to everybody.
Hmm.
And even though I did take time to like start a voiceover career and an acting career and kind of bring myself up level with like my boys, but like
Hmm.
and then I realized like Angela was saying like I felt like I was lacking,
Hmm.
and then it's so easily as a woman to like turn it in on yourself. And
oh,
you're right. Like, if you can't give yourself self-love, how can you be the mom and the wife and the friend and the sister and the aunt
Hmm.
and the
to
good work.
any the go coworker? Like to
Hmm.
like you can't. So, what would you say to some like us? In those situations?
Yeah, well, I think thanks for sharing. And it sounds like, y'all have also, y'all are on your journey and understanding. And I think a lot of it is there's so many layers, right, as
Yeah.
to why we are this way. I mean, on one level, as women, right, like biologically, right, we usually tend to be more on that giving, nurturing side, which is a great trait. And that's something that through my own recovery journey of like restabilizing, refining my balance, I had to learn to celebrate that because I think at one point I almost demonized that part of myself and
Mm.
I made myself feel maybe even shameful, but through healing and understanding, now I'm at a point where it's beautiful. It's a beautiful trait. It's just about learning discernment and boundaries, right? Which can
Yeah.
be really hard.
Oh God. You said the B word. The B word. The boundaries.
It can be easier said than done, right? But it's
Sometimes.
practice, right?
Yeah.
And so, at least for me, right?
Yeah.
That's always been a thing and I'm still learning, still getting better at. So what would I say to the both of you? I think is y'all have already, it sounds like you're already there, right? Of understanding and trying to figure out what that looks like for yourself. I think a big piece is also being forgiving and being gracious to yourself, on
Yeah.
those days that maybe it's a little bit harder, given the amount of responsibilities that one might have or the
Hmm.
people that depend on you, right? Whether it's family or work related or community related. So, and I think it's also important to know that there are so many others out there struggling with the same thing and
Yeah.
to lean on community and to know that we are supposed to do that. We actually, as human beings, are supposed to lean on each other. We're social
Hmm.
creatures by default. We're created this way. So learning to navigate that and be okay asking for help when you need it.
That's so interesting that you say that because I remember being in the NICU and I was like, I can't do this by myself. Like I have to like, I'm relying on the nurses, but like I ended up meeting another mom and I like
Hmm.
put myself out there and I was like, hey, like I just started talking to her and then we were friends for like a very, through the duration of like that sort of tough situation. And it's really hard to ask for help, and like, and then I remember back in that day, people were bringing us meals or sending us gift cards or sending us like gas. People want to help. People want to help. Your community they want to help, and you can't feel bad about accepting the help. You have to just say thank you, And I looked at my husband. I said, just say thank you. Like, just say thank you. Just be
Hmm.
happy that people are. It's not necessarily for me. They're doing it for me, but they're also doing it for themselves, right? Like,
Exactly.
it feels good to give and help.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, Angela. Were you gonna say
I,
something?
just thinking about it too is like it is hard to ask for help, but
Mm.
I do want to point out how much strength a lot of people do have for just trying to keep it to themselves.
Oh
Like
yeah.
it's hard just to have all of that monkeys on your back as the best example, but it could be hard to keep all that and then also still maintain this like professionalism or keep it together for ma or for the kids or
Yeah.
like there's a lot that goes into that. So I do feel like there's a lot of strength in trying to hold yourself above water. uh,
Hmm.
but in the same sense, like it is very hard to ask for help, but if you feel like you're going somewhere that you shouldn't be going, ask for help. And the shame, I guess, that we've kind of put on the stigma, I guess, that
Yeah.
asking for help is, sad or whatever it is. But, that's why people are out there like this.
Or
There's great organizations out there that you can, go to and trust and, you know,
yeah.
somebody who understands.
Or if you see someone struggling,
Hmm.
don't be quiet. You know what I'm saying? Like, and if you feel like they might have a little
Hmm.
like ego or like they might be like a little, like then point them in the direction of this foundation and say, hey, I just came across this foundation. Like, it's just been, it's really interesting. You should check it out online or go on social media or like share the link. You don't even have to say anything. You could just share the
Hmm.
link and say like, hey, I found this foundation. Like, I thought of you. Like, might be something interesting to check out. Like you don't even have to like say you're struggling. Like you don't even have to point out that they're struggling. They don't even have to ask, if you notice someone
Hmm.
struggling. Um, I think it's so interesting too that you connect music with healing, because right, like you hear about the hertz, like the
Hmm.
different vibrations of music, and how often do you like hear a song on the radio and like your heart is just like instantly like calm, right? Or like a warm
Hmm.
feeling comes over you, So tell us a little bit about that, like,
Yeah. Well, sound healing is become a huge part of my life. I would say these past 5 years. I've learned a lot. There's a great book. If
ooh,
people would like a book recommendation, it's called the Body Keeps Score.
heard of that.
And what I love about this book, it was a psychiatrist that wrote it, and he did different studies just to show how trauma is stored in the body. But just as much as it's stored, and then seeing the healing process of a person, and also seeing how that trauma is then relieved. So it's helping, and these are things that yoga has been saying, but what I like about this book is that he's adding the scientific twist and building that bridge between both worlds to show like, hey, actually this is true. We're finding studies that it's true. And I bring that up because sound healing in particular can be very beneficial to move that trauma that is stored in the body. And now more and more, even through even talk therapy, they're incorporating different modalities to help a person process their trauma because they're finding that talk therapy isn't always enough. I started therapy myself when I was 18, and then going through that process of doing the talk therapy, and it definitely helped. But I've found myself making more leeway once I started to incorporate different modalities like sound healing.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, at least what I've learned, even just navigating my own self, is that there's certain things that I might not even remember, but it's stored. And the sound therapy can actually help you just to feel and to feel through it and release it. So there's so many, I could talk on and on about it, but there's
Yeah.
many benefits to incorporating sound therapy practice into your own healing practice.
Yeah,
Could
I
you,
would.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, you go, you go.
I was just going to say, can you give me a more of an example of like what sound healing is? Because when I'm thinking music right off the bat, I'm all thinking like one of my favorite sad songs. And then I just, or are we talking like the actual, hertz sounds effects? I don't know, you don't call them sound effects, but hertz
Yeah.
sound being
Vibrations. Yeah.
is that
Yeah,
what?
well, both work. I've always been in music myself. I grew up a musician, so I think there's a lot of power with finding your own favorite songs for when you're feeling certain things. So yes to that, and also yes to thinking about hertz frequencies. So perhaps y'all have seen sound healing practices within like the yoga space where you'll
Hmm.
see what they call as the crystal bowls or the Tibetan singing bowls,
Yep.
which has been used in meditation practices for thousands of years. And so now, in many places throughout the world, it's becoming more well known. And typically, you'll find it at yoga studios as a place or different events that they do specifically with these type of bowls. And so these bowls are actually tuned to these different frequencies that help you release certain emotions. So there
Hmm.
could there could be a session, let's just say you walk in, you're feeling pretty okay, right? But maybe midway through, you start to see yourself getting emotional and you start to feel like that heat rising, and maybe you start crying, and maybe you don't even know why, but it's tapped into some part of your body where there was trauma stored, and it's actually that movement, that energy is actually helping you release because again, a lot is now is being released with different studies and science helping the yoga conversation further to show that we are electromagnetic beings, right? We're more than this flesh, right? We have energy that is moving through us. So it makes for me when I was kind of like putting two and two together, incorporating more of these energy practices into my life, I thought, it makes sense. I mean, everything around us is comprised of energy. We know that because of physics, right? So carrying this conversation further to healing conversations, at least I've found it very beneficial for me, and incorporating that in how we support the community too.
That must be like a wild experience though, like your very first time going in and having sound healing and then not really expecting much out of it and then before you know it you're bawling. Like that must be
Right.
wild experience.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. Hmm.
Well, I mean, I used to take like little like 15-minute breaks or whatever during the day. Like I'm not like a napper, but I would like be like, you know what, I just am tired. Like I feel heavy. And so like I would go outside and I pop in my earbuds and I would just go on YouTube and like be like sound healing or Hertz music and it's like what 728 or 528 or whatever and I would just like I'm like okay like and then I would feel better. I would just
Mhm.
listen and I would like close my eyes and before I know it, I set like a timer for like 15, 20 minutes and I would feel better. And yeah, I mean I so want to go to like a sound bowl healing. There's a salt cave here. There's a legit like cave like inside. It's like all salt and it's like a holistic spot and my sister and I were gonna go to it and then they ran out of spots. But you're supposed to like lay and they're gonna do breath work and then the sound bowl healing and the salt cave. Like I think it's like Himalayan salt or some sort of like special salt. I was like, ooh, I didn't get a chance to do it. But I
Mhm.
want to so bad. And I really, really want to go to Sedona. Like, I mean, I want to, oh my God, I want to go stand in a vortex and just be like, just suck out all the stuff, like all the bad
Mhm.
stuff, just suck it out. I mean, if that's even a thing. Is that a thing? That's a thing, right?
I think so.
Okay, go
Right.
ahead, Gabby.
Sorry, I have a question. So you also work help individuals find a way to you promote self-love, right? And
Mhm.
self-love practices. As creatives, that I feel like is something that a lot of us have struggled with,
Yeah.
just accepting ourselves, accepting our work, what we put out there. That's
Yeah.
all part of us. And what practices do you promote or what do you recommend um, to reach that?
It's
Yeah,
a
it's a
good
great
question.
question. Yeah, I mean, then at the end of the day, too, everyone's different. But I always like to start people off to think about it with kind of what you were saying earlier, Angela, on like the basics, right? Just making sure like your basic needs, right, are being met. Like it can actually be as simple as that. Like
Yeah.
really thinking, are you drinking enough water? What type of food are you eating? What type of people are you surrounding yourself with? What are you listening to? How mobile are you every day?
Yeah.
What are you doing anything that brings you joy? Like little things like that actually go a really long way. I think those are the basics really to start. And then from there, get creative, right? I always like to advocate for people to get explorative, to tap into the inner kid, right? Like, what were those things that made you shine when you were a child or a teenager? Are those things you still like? Are there new things that you're liking? Making time for play. I think that's one of the biggest things because being creative, right? We are tapping into that creative part of ourselves. And sometimes if, we're doing it for work, we can get really burnt out too, right? So reminding yourself, what are you doing that's just for you? And again, that looks different for all of us. But and again, I would really strongly advocate to make sure that you're moving. I think a lot of people are too stationary, which is why there's so many depression statistics, right? Anxiety statistics, high anxiety statistics because of us just not doing our basic human needs that we need to actually be well.
Yeah.
And it could be that simple, just making sure that you're tapping into that. And then if you can take it at that step further to incorporate something that makes you excited, that makes you feel that joy.
I love that. And there's like a chemical science behind moving your body. Like it literally raises the serotonin levels in your body naturally within 30 minutes after you moving your body. I mean, and that could be as little as 5 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like doing jumping jacks. Like you could do a 5 minute, little quick like YouTube yoga. Like, I mean, anything. I mean, you could go for a walk, you could go for a bike ride. I'm super into working out if you didn't notice. But I mean, it really, but it's more of like a mental health thing for me. If I don't move my body, like today, I got a little nervous coming today. I don't know why. Like I've done this a million times and my stomach starts to bother me. So then I'm like, okay, so I just jumped on my bike and I went for a quick 8 minute bike ride and I came back and I expelled that negative energy that was maybe, I don't know,
Harboring inside.
maybe, I don't know. It was like a
Yeah.
little bit of anxiety and
hmm
yeah, so I don't know.
same situation. I used to work in when I was in radio, I would work for like I think there was like 5 or 6 stations that I was working for all together. So I was juggling and juggling and juggling. And there'd be days where I could not focus anymore. And at lunch I was like, let me just go down to this little gym. I'll take a quick little 10-minute walk, come back up, and I was ready to go. Like it was just so
Yeah.
Mhm.
interesting how quick, your body can change, the brain fog disappeared, all that good stuff came back after releasing some of that tension and some of that stress and anxiety just through a quick little walk or,
Yeah.
bike ride.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
being outside. And like you said, the other day we went to the beach. I haven't been to the beach and I live like 30 minutes from the beach. Like, why am I not going to the beach more often? I used to go all the time. Now I guess I'm just like a regular Floridian. So I'm like, I just take it for granted. But we went to the beach and I'm like, oh my God, just being near water,
Mhm.
having my toes in the sand, just taking a minute to just like you said, breathe and do something that's joyful for myself. My husband was with me. So, and he needed that too. And then like my mental state was shifted, a little bit. And it was just like a couple of hours. I mean, it doesn't have to
Mhm.
be like a big to do.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I have a comment question. Monica, amongst your many accomplishments, you were able to be a part of a documentary.
Oh,
Um, could you share a little about the documentary?
Yes, thanks, Gabby. So yeah, we were local filmmakers in Vegas, Everlast Film Company. They featured us in a documentary they started following us. It was back in 2023, and they wrapped up filming at the end of last year. And that shows our journey leading to the creation of the program I referenced before, I Am Love. That would be the telehealth service to support artists and hospitality workers with their mental health. So the documentary shows us at different events, different team building events, us with the community, and then leading to the story of why we created I Am Love. And we'll be showing the film in Vegas.
oh,
We do have a screening of it coming up, and it's going to be a fundraiser as well on June 7th. At the Beverly Theater in downtown Las Vegas, and it'll be 10:30 to 4. And that day we won't just do the film, that'll be the start of the event, but we're also going to have a mental health panel. We're going to have vendors, silent auction, live painting, and some music.
I
Awesome.
love that. So for someone who might notice that their friend, like you had mentioned your friend who passed, and there's always like sometimes there's signs, sometimes there's not. But if you notice, a friend that might be struggling or they tell you, they give you these little breadcrumbs that they're struggling, like how can we like reach out to them? I mean, I mentioned, maybe doing it incognito, but like, what would you say? Like you
Yeah, and again, it's a great question. And of course it's hard to say if there's one way, right? Because
I
every
know.
person is different. And usually when a person is in that state of mind, they're in complete survival mode, right?
Mm.
And usually it's like a lot of walls.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say even a small ounce of kindness, a small ounce of offering a helping hand can actually go a long way. I, in my crazy year of 2017, I went through a 3-month period where I had suicidal ideation after my near-death experience, and it was very scary and terrifying. Thankfully, at that point, I had different practices I was leaning on. I had my own therapy too. But I had a friend who just him telling me that he had gone through that and him telling me that he was just there, and that meant so much because I was so afraid to share it because I didn't
Mm-hmm.
want people to be scared on one end.
Mm-hmm.
But on the other end, I definitely needed support. And so the fact that he had gone through that opened a door of knowing, wow, I'm not alone. So it
Mm-hmm.
doesn't mean you have to have gone through it, right, to be there for someone, but just to show up, even if it's just you, like physically there with the person and not talking, like just that presence alone. I think as humans, we end up tapping into something that is primal in us of just wanting to be there. And we don't necessarily even have to speak, but just to show up and care can actually save a life.
I like that. I like that a lot. Gabby, did you have something else that you wanted to say?
Oh, well, that's actually really really cool. We all know someone who's mentioned that he's struggled with mental health issues a lot, and so that's a great way to actually try to maybe we'll reach out to him a little more and see what's up
You always feel
and
like you're bugging them though,
yeah,
sometimes, you know, that's the thing. Like,
it's such a sensitive issue that
yeah,
I don't want to like overstep and
say
but
something weird
yeah, say something weird.
or say something that's like makes it further
Yeah.
Hmm.
hard on that person, you know, like,
Yeah,
and like everything's gonna be okay. Like, I mean,
because they don't feel like it is right.
Hmm.
but
Like you said, they're on survival mode.
But
Um,
is there something to be said about keeping normal relationship with somebody? I'm
oh,
not obviously if you see somebody struggling, you want to make sure you're there for them, but don't change yourself or change
yeah,
your relationship with them, so that they know something's up, like
yes.
being part of a friendship and just if you guys go out every Friday night, keep that going, or
Yeah.
Yes.
you know,
Hmm.
try to change the schedule too much, I guess.
Yeah, that consistency definitely helps. And an image that often comes to my mind about this is just thinking of that person. Like, imagine if they were like in a cave, right? And they've just been stuck in there for a while, it's dark. But if there's like one little sliver, let's just say a little bit of a door that's open, there's just enough light coming through, right? That can be like where you can come in, right? Just knowing that they might just
Mm-hmm.
know that you're right there, right? And it's
Mm-hmm.
and again, you may not be talking to them every day, but just them knowing that you're there actually can go a long way.
I like that analogy a lot, a lot, a lot. I go
can
ahead.
I ask you something? What's your favorite personally? Like, what is your favorite practice, like self love practice?
Yeah, there's many, and I keep adding more. But I think one of my favorites has actually been mirror work, like
Oh.
looking at myself, talking to myself in the mirror, being that cheerleader,
Hmm.
seeing myself, having moments where even when I've had many where I cry, and I don't even know why I'm crying, but just to see myself crying and knowing that I'm there and just seeing that reflected back at me has helped me a lot.
Hmm.
And I'm a big writer, always have been since I was really little. So writing, I would say too, is another top favorite, is writing feelings out.
Hmm.
And practicing gratitude was a huge game changer for me. Incorporating that in my daily practice really helped me to realize like there could be, things over here not working out exactly how I want them to, but over here, there's all these things that I'm super grateful for. And even learning to find the lesson, even when the things that are happening I may not be 100% happy about, but learning that, hey,
Yeah.
there's a reason for that and doing your best to find that gratitude in it.
Yeah, I totally agree with the gratitude one because that's for me when my mental health was a little shaky. That was one of my practices was gratitude. Any little thing, it could be
Mm-hmm.
like, glad I have a good pair of shoes today.
Yeah.
Any little
Yeah.
trying to find something to be thankful for, and eventually I was able to be like, there is a lot more than just these little things that I could be happy for. So, I
Yeah.
agree with that one. That's one of my favorites as well.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And also like you touched on something, like I tried talk therapy and it was like helpful for a while and I was proud of myself for doing it. But then it gets to a point where it's like you're in the spin wash. Like it's just everything is like on repeat, and it's
Hmm.
like and then I remember the talk therapist saying, "Well, this is where you're at. Accept it. And if you don't accept it, then what's the alternative?" And I
Hmm.
was like, okay, this is not helpful. Like, I mean, it was helpful, but it's not helpful, So that's when I like expanded out and kind of like let some of my practices go to the wayside a little bit. I mean, and I have to give myself some grace about that, because life is life. But
Hmm.
learning that lesson inside of the negative, and then trying to reframe and trying to spin it and find that little sliver of positive, even for yourself,
Mhm.
without the friend shining the little sliver of door is so important, especially as artists and creators. I mean, how often do we say, oh, I didn't get this or this didn't happen for me? well, why are we so focused on the negative? Like, why,
Hmm.
let's focus on like, oh, you did book this though, you know, or you did have an excellent night at open mic night, right? Or
Hmm.
you know, you shared a poem, you know, and you put yourself out there, you know, like you or you did this or that, you know. I mean, like let's focus on the positive side. Just like in marriages, like I mentioned, like being disconnected from my husband, and I saw something on social media because you said everything is about social media now, and someone said instead of focusing on the negative. They're still going to be there, the negative things that are bothering you about your husband. But what if you focused on the positive things?
Hmm.
You know, like the negative is there, but like, what if you were like, oh,
Yeah.
can you put his dish in the
Let's
dishwasher?
be honest, like
Hmm.
easier said than done,
Oh my God, totally. I'm
definitely.
working on it, you know, because
Monica, I do have a question too. So how is outreach for you guys? Like, besides you have your websites, social and all that good stuff, do you feel like people are more apt to go through the social delivery, or is it better
yeah,
to health? Are you seeing more people through that?
That's a great question. I think that we probably end up meeting a lot more people through social media. And we've had a 5-year partnership now with UNLV, and so we work with a few different colleges there, and they actually help us with finding interns. So a lot of our outreach has been done through the university, also CSN, and different community events. And because we experienced the pandemic, that very much made us get more attuned with the online space, get really comfortable there. And I would say now it's probably half and half, I would say, between community outreach in person and then online. So yeah, I would say a mixture of both.
That's very cool, very cool. And it's interesting because, I'm sure there's plenty of studies, but, they say social media has a big impact on, mental health and anxiety and all this other stuff. But yet there are good spots on social.
that's very true. I didn't
Hmm.
see, I was like, where is she going with this? But that's true because like, how often do people get on social media and then you're just like, you get into that hole, that vortex, it
Hmm.
just sucks you in, and then you just start seeing all these things, and then it like kind of takes you down a rabbit hole.
But like Monica said earlier, is like, you have
It's a
to
tool.
be
Yeah.
smart about what you're taking in, so
You're
Yeah.
like,
consuming.
are yeah, if you are consuming stuff on
Yeah.
social media that's making you feel bad, unfollow, delete.
And then accounts like Monica's is
Yeah,
that little, the golden little sliver,
The
that
silvers.
light.
yeah, the
Yeah.
little light in the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And it's and you mentioned too like being aware of the people that you surround yourself. I mean, obviously, um that's so important, and people, you know, say like I have recently in the last like few years went no contact. And people don't realize like how difficult that of a decision that is, and that is not taken lightly. And that goes with, you know, family. Like,
Hmm.
you know, like you don't choose your family, you choose your friends. And like sometimes you end up in a situation where like family are too toxic to have in your life. And you know, and that's like a whole nother can of worms that we can just have a whole nother episode on, you know, but like you have to be like you said, the energy that you share. And then, and going back to social media, with Angela was saying, like, there was something that someone said about how, you know, friends that leave you, especially those of us that are like a little bit more, you know, empathetic, you know what I'm saying? Like, and you are maybe feeling hurt about losing a friend. And the social media post said, like, that person left you for a reason. Either that chapter is done, that period of time for them to be in your life is over, they did what they needed to do, or like maybe you've leveled up to a place in your healing journey where
Yeah.
that person is no longer like welcome, you know, and that
Hmm.
it's okay that they're no longer a part of your life. You know, I mean, I don't know. You have thoughts on
Very.
that?
Yeah, no, you're totally right on that. I think it was Harvard that did this study, a decade study, where they wanted to find what contributes to positive quality of life. And what they found was that it's your relationships. as a human being, that will definitely determine the type of life you're going to live. So relationships are very important to be mindful about, both friendship, romantic, everything, because we are all connected as
Mm,
human beings and we're very sensitive, whether we realize it or not, but we're very sensitive to what people might say or do or act. So being cautious, being discerning, learning to say no,
mm.
is huge. And so I think you're totally right with that.
So you talk about energy and like music and vibrations and by the way, congratulations, 200 hours of yogi. You're gonna be certified. Like, I
I will
mean,
be, not yet, this summer.
that's
Yeah.
like hard work. That's a lot. Like that's so cool.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, and I also read that you're a Reiki master practitioner. So like energy is like your thing, you know? I mean, and so do you practice? Like you have yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so I
I don't know
do
what my
the
question
Reiki.
was. I just
Yeah.
there's a question in
Yeah.
there.
I got certified in 2021. I started receiving Reiki though in 2016. And I started to see the positive benefits it was having on me. And I just felt like one day I would want to become a practitioner myself. And so in 2020, I started that journey and I finished up in 2021. Um, and the way that, if for those that maybe aren't aware of what Reiki is, it is an energy healing practice that, at least the tradition I practice comes from Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and really, what I like to compare Reiki energy to is that feeling that we often do get when we're in nature. Usually that's how I correlate it, is just usually, we're in there and all of it, maybe we're 10 minutes in and we start to just feel better. And
Mm-hmm.
so with Reiki energy, it's tapping into that and pretty much transferring that to a person. You can transfer that to a plant, an animal.
Hmm.
It doesn't have to just be human to human.
Have you guys, either one of you, experienced Reiki? And you're muted, Gabby. Like, I had a massage therapist that was a friend of a friend, and she also was a Reiki practitioner. So I had her perform Reiki on me, and it was like the most amazing experience. And then I had her also like do Reiki on my youngest son, you know, and it's people, I don't know, energy and healing. And I mean, like you said, we're all electromagnetic beings, you know, so I mean, it makes sense.
Which is funny to me. It's like we're electromagnetic beings, but we also have feelings.
We're,
We're
we're it's
complex. We're
we're
complex.
complex.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
Well,
complex.
it's
and
not a 2D form. It's more like a
yeah.
4D. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and we have a lot of friends, obviously, all of us, like, you know, because we're all in the creative realm. We have art, you
Yeah.
know, but, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on in the world. When you talk about the planet and the environment and just like in general, like, there are so many beings in this world and there's so
Mhm.
much happening right now. That's like a rabbit hole we don't have to go down. But I have a lot of friends that are really negatively impacted by it. Maybe they were already in a bad place, maybe they were already like heading into a negative space, but they're like really impacted by it. And I just had a
Hmm.
conversation, follow me on this one. Sorry, I'm going to take you on a long tour. But my oldest was like, we had a conversation in the kitchen just the other day, and he said, "Mom, I don't think you understand X, Y, and Z. I don't think you understand what's really going on here." And I said to him, I said, "I do, but I'm practicing self love for myself because I am so overwhelmed by the world and the people in it and the things that are happening that if I even tap into it, I am going to crumble from the inside out. And then I therefore can't take care of myself. And then therefore can't be the mom I need to be for you. I cannot take
Hmm.
care of you. I cannot be the wife, the husband, the sister. Like I can't. So I just have to stop watching the news. I have to like, I, and maybe that means I'm uninformed and I am apologetic about that, but I have to be because, you know, like it's too much. And then I see some of our friends like hurting
Yeah.
Hmm.
and it's so hard, you know. There's
Absolutely.
a question in there, but you can just move right into it.
Yeah, well, I think you're definitely tapping into, I think, one of our biggest dilemmas that we have in modern society because we're the most informed, right? And we're also the most connected because of social media, but we're also the most disconnected because of it. So we're in an era I find that is filled with duality, and it can be really challenging because it's great to be informed, but as humans, again, when we want to narrow it down to our nervous system, we're not designed to know this much. I remember a while ago I heard this statistic from this reporter that I follow, and he said that the amount of information that we learn within the first 15 minutes of waking up equates to our grandparents' generation knowing the amount of information in 1 month. So, in those first 15 minutes, because of people constantly on their phone, and all of that inundation equals 1 month worth of information from our grandparents' generation. And when I heard that, it just obviously that's not natural. Um, and so I think we're facing a time of trying to go back to our roots as humans so we can be functional and know how do we operate while also navigating this modern space that is going extremely fast, in my opinion. And that's, it's a huge topic. I could
So
talk
scary.
all, but you're totally right with I agree with you anyway, with what you said to your oldest, because there's only so much that we can do. And then what we don't want to enter is a state of paralysis, because if we enter a state of paralysis, then we're no good for ourselves or no good for anybody.
Yeah.
So I think it's all about finding what works for you. Maybe me too. I can't watch the news. I stay informed in other ways. I
Yeah.
stay informed through reading. I work around what I'm capable of, and I'm still informed, but I'm not, watching it all day. And there's reasons. Again, this is a huge topic, right?
Yeah.
Like there's so many reasons why we are inundated, and a lot of private corporate reasons too, but that's a big topic. But yeah, I think it's just about finding what works for you, your balance, and seeing how you stay informed while still operating in this world.
And setting boundaries. There's that B
Hmm.
word. Setting boundaries can be easy, but like
Hmm.
it's very hard to keep those boundaries up.
Yes.
And so
Hmm.
but like you said, being aware and knowing like what you can and can't handle. Do you have any tips? Because like I started like a couple years ago, like waking up and like putting my feet on the ground. And then I just stretched and I just said, I'm going to have a good day. And then I left my phone on the bedside table and then I went to the bathroom and did myself, brushed my teeth or whatever. And then like tried to wait to like get on my phone until I got into the kitchen and sat down with my cup of tea. Like, do you have any tips, for people that might need to set some boundaries,
Yeah. That's a great practice. And I think you got it. I've read that what's important is at least 1 hour after waking, don't touch your phone.
Mm.
Do your routine. Like you mentioned, go outside, right? Do things if you can meditate, right? Do some things that you're able to nurture back to yourself when you're waking up. And I've also, from what I've read, it's in 1 hour before you go to sleep. Also, don't touch your phone.
Okay.
Um, and I think what we're going to be seeing, hopefully, it seems like more and more in the next years, is finding ways to have healthier relationships with these devices, right? Because we're in a time where we need them, but at the
Yeah.
same time, we're also seeing huge negative health impacts. So I think we're just in that phase right now of figuring that out.
Yeah.
And lots of studies are coming out more and more. There's a book called How to Break Up with My Phone, which is about
That's funny.
or how to break up with your phone to find that a balance. Because we, on one end, we do need it, but it's like, how do we bring it back to making it more of a utility, a tool, than the
Tool.
tool actually, controlling our lives.
Oh, and with kids and
I was just
teenagers.
Yeah,
that.
Oh my
that's
God.
what
Go.
I was going to
Two,
say.
he's a toddler, like that he's an
Yeah,
iPad kid. He is an iPad kid, and how are we gonna
Totally.
yeah,
get
It's like
away from that, like how are we gonna pull him away from that eventually?
it's like an appendage, literally. Like I do not like I am the parent Well, first of all, I don't sugarcoat a lot of stuff when my parenting style is not very sugary. But like also too, like with I do not take the phone away as a tool to punish because that just causes mental health issues for my kids. I've seen it in them. Like it's because it's
Mhm.
like literally an appendage and it's like a disservice. It's like spanking a kid for hitting their brother. It's like doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Like I find other ways to like let them know. Like I'm like, I kind of spin it a little bit differently because I do have an iPad kid myself, I have and my oldest is actually one of the last generations to like before cell phones went kaboom and devices went kaboom, because he was born in 2006. Not to age myself out, but and I don't punish by taking devices away. It just doesn't serve me as a parent with my kids personally. It just causes more problems, and I don't need more problems, or I don't need to create more mental health issues for my kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But the amount of information that those little brains get, it's just I've kind of this is another rabbit hole we could go on, but like I kind of given up a little bit. Like it's it is a part of their life. It is their way of the world. Like,
Well,
like,
what's interesting too is how Monica was suggesting, like, we get, a month's worth of information like our grandparents would have had. How are these kids going to
oh
become,
my God,
I feel like it's going to peak out for them. Like, it's just going to get to a point where they just
shut down?
are paralyzed. Yeah, they shut down because there's so much information that's going on. And you guys ever seen that movie Idiocracy? I think that's what it's called, Idiocracy.
No.
Oh, it's
Mm-mm.
a hilarious movie. But basically, the premise is about, how dumb society has become over, you know, de decades of time. And it's
Yeah.
because of social media and all these different things that are kind of turning us into these like morons, to say the least.
Right. I
I
think
don't know.
there's a comedian in there, Bill Murr or
There's
something.
a
But
ton of
there's,
yeah,
yeah,
Terry
yeah.
in there. It's a really, I think it's like from the 90s, but it's a very funny movie. And the even funnier part is like in the movie, they all wear Crocs. Like Crocs was a big thing, but they used it as movie props at that
Mm.
time. Everybody wears Crocs in that movie. So
Oh my God, that's funny.
take it for what it is. But but that's kind of where I see, how social media is kind of, steering our children sometimes. They're seeing stuff they shouldn't be seeing. They're seeing stuff that is completely, not even true. There's so much fake news. There's
Hmm.
plastic surgery all over the place. There's just so much different information that a lot of these children shouldn't be reading. If anything, they should be reading a book, not reading stuff on the internet.
Or listening
So
to a book because that's also an option. You know what's interesting though, that like my middle, like he has been bringing me recipes. So like, talking about like some of the positive sides of online. He's
Mhm.
a
Yeah.
foodie and he's been bringing me recipes. So then I'll like buy the ingredients and then um, we
See,
make,
that's really cool.
we make
but like
the,
Monica said, how do we get back to using it as a tool? Like that
Yeah,
seems like
that's
he
a
should
tool.
that is a tool. That is a tool.
my
Yeah.
kid watching crazy movies and cat videos like
Cat videos.
you know
It's definitely a hard thing as parents now.
Yeah.
And that's like a whole nother conversation to like, rabbit
Mhm.
hole to go down. It's definitely something that we don't know. We're figuring it out and trying to navigate as
Yeah.
parents raising kids now because I didn't grow up that way. I grew up like with a water hose, drinking water out of the water hose and like running around till
But
like
I think it's important, like as adults, to go to foundations and follow like Love Yourself Foundation, and pick up tricks and tips and practices that we can show them at a very
Mhm.
young age, so
that's
that they have these
very true.
tools
how do
Yeah.
you
to
feel about
disconnect.
children to these kinds of events? Is that something that you would kind of shy away from, or teenagers? I feel like teenagers would benefit from information like this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And at least a lot of the events that we do in person, we always aim to make them all ages. So we do try our best to find venues that will have that as a determining factor on who can come. Um, but I agree. I think it's a big issue, and I think it's something that we're all gonna continue understanding more and more, more studies coming out. I think that there's just so much in it.
I know.
It's a lack of connection on one end because it's like they're even finding in studies like yes, it creates a feeling of connection, but not at the level that we get when we're actually together in person. So, so yeah, it's a big topic, and I'm hopeful that more and more will be revealed to help, especially our young people.
Yeah.
And what are your plans for the foundation? Like, I know you've grown so much, so what do you have planned for the future? What would you like to like move
Yeah.
towards?
Well, I definitely, the big one is to get the I Am Love program piloted this year. That's a huge goal. So we can start helping people one-on-one. We've never had a one-on-one service before. So I really want to make that a reality, and just continue to grow our outreach efforts, going to my Spanish roots in Spain, making our outreach there bigger, and hopefully eventually having two hubs where one is in Vegas and then the other one is over there. So over in Spain, it's a lot smaller our outreach, but it's growing. So that's my idea, to keep making our Vegas chapter strong and continue building out the one in Spain.
Very
Yes.
cool. Very cool. I know we're winding down. But like, I wanted to touch on the fact that Angela, when you said bringing teenagers to like these events or bringing kids to these events, I feel like our generation of like parenting, like we're not afraid to like incorporate our kids into like, showing them, like, hey,
We've learned so
yeah,
much how different it could be. Like I think our
yeah,
parents are very like, shh,
closed, yeah.
talk about that. You're
Hmm.
not depressed. You want to know what depressed is? Like, it's a whole different vibe. And we have come to learn that mental health is important. It's a lot more
Totally.
important than they led us to believe in our parents' generation. So it's important, and I know I've seen kids, not thankfully my son, but yet at least, but like yeah, I've seen kids struggle with that, and it's important that they know that there's outlets, that there's people that they can talk to, and that there's people that also are in the same boat as them,
Hmm.
so I think it's very important.
Hmm.
Yeah, and Monica, you said something also that really like touched like for me is that like you're not the only one.
Mhm.
Knowing that, like, unfortunately, other people might be going through what you're going through or something similar, but you're not the only one. But that also allows you to realize that, like, that takes that weight off you,
Yeah.
Hmm.
where you already are weighted down, but it, like, relieves a little bit of that weight, and telling your kids, like, hey, I'm sorry you're going through this, or to your friend, I'm sorry you're going through this, but, like, you are not the only one, and there's foundations, there's places to go, there's people to talk to, and I'm
Yeah.
here for you if you need me.
Exactly.
Not just like the kids themselves, like my son's dealt with friends who've gone through mental
Yeah.
Yeah.
situations, and how do I navigate that with him so that he can,
Hmm.
so it's kind of like a small little triangle in that sense, but like to have this information is golden. So thank you so much for, taking the time and really putting effort into making sure that people have a space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And
I
thank you
mean,
for creating the organization, the
Yeah.
foundation, because you managed to do it in such a way where you can let it out and learn all these practices of self-love and self-awareness, mental health through a creative outlet.
yeah,
I haven't personally been to one, but one of my best friends did go, and she said it is wonderful.
yeah,
So if you're out in Vegas, if you guys are ever out in Vegas and you get to go to one of these events, please go.
that would be awesome. Yeah. Um, okay, so we always do like a little fun thing at the end. Should we do our little fun round table thing?
Yeah.
Okay. Because we're winding down. Oh, I want to say one thing too. Like we can't forget that like our kids went through COVID. Like that is
Yeah.
like that
Hmm.
really, we don't even know like the impacts of that, on their mental health, so showing them
Hmm.
that we can ask for help or give help is or find help is so important. So,
Yes.
okay, so if you had to wear a warning label,
Oh.
Oh, okay.
what would it say? So,
Don't approach when hungry.
That's a good one.
oh my God, that's funny. Mine would say, if she's quiet, look out. Like run the other way. You don't
Uh,
want me to be
I think mine's
quiet.
probably be like, beware words may cut. But sometimes I be saying,
Yeah,
stuff like, oh, sorry, didn't mean that.
Mm,
that might be refreshing though, we need a little.
yeah, so every now and then, right? For me, what came immediately to my mind was I'm a huge crybaby, so I'm crying, whether it's good things or bad things, I'm crying.
Look out for the waterworks.
Yeah.
I love that.
I love that too. I love that too. All right, I'm gonna let Gabby ask the final question. Final.
Yeah. Out of everything you've done, what is the one thing you're the most proud of?
No, I think I think it's just that I don't give up. I think that's it. That I just keep going. The Love Yourself Foundation came in a time period of my life that it was the darkest place I've ever been to, and in my inner world. And so when the idea came and when I decided to put energy into it, to put the idea and make it happen, the amount of light and the amount of purpose that came into my life after immediately is something I can't even describe. It's an immense feeling of gratitude. So it gives me life to do this, and I'm just grateful that I got the idea and that I'm here doing it. So just that I keep going, and I feel like I'll just keep going until it keeps growing and continue to help other people and to help others just not feel alone in that darkness that a lot of us find ourselves in at different points in our life. And to befriend it. I think that's one of my biggest things is learning to befriend those dark places and remembering that that's just a space that needs some love,
Yeah,
and you don't have to do it by yourself.
Like that.
absolutely.
Mhm.
That is absolutely beautiful. I love it.
I love
Thank
that.
you.
I love it. Thank you so much for hanging out with us today and
Thank you.
sharing all the pieces to your journey. I really appreciate it. And yeah, it was a great conversation. Thank you. Thank you.
We get all the websites and the
Yeah. Thank you, Angela.
Yes.
Yes, yeah. So our website is the lyfoundation.org, and you can find everything there. All of our social media, all of our handles are the LY Foundation. And yes, thank you guys. This was super enjoyable, and I'm very grateful for the invitation. And thank you for having me.
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
Yeah. We hope to have you on again later on in the future.
Would love that.
Yeah. I'm sure we probably brought up a couple bigger topics that we could dive
Yeah.
into.
We have 5 podcasts ready to go.
I know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We could do
And
like
we're
a whole.
missing one person.
Oh yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're missing Lloyd. Um, I'm not gonna press pause, but the recording is come to an end. And I just want to do a little like businessy side of things. Like I produce the whole thing. I put it all together. I lightly edit it and then I put it on a platform and then I will send you a link. You can listen to it ahead of time before we launch it. If there's anything you'd like us to take out, just let me know. And then we have your picture and we have your artwork, or your foundation's artwork. And Gabby's going to put together a custom artwork that we push out on social media and share. And I'll get that to you in email form and then we tag you as well. But that comes like closer to like when we launch. And right now we're launching into July, but I'm gonna take a look at the schedule to see if maybe I can launch yours a little bit quicker because you said you have the event in June.
Yeah, June 7th. It's coming up.
Yeah, that's coming up pretty quickly. So I might
Hmm.
flip-flop that, Gabby, and I will message you. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Awesome.
And so yeah, so anyways, and then yeah, so that's I think we're good. And yeah, if you don't like the title of the podcast, if I like you can just let me know if you have a better title. I want it to be like a team thing, just
Sure.
yeah. So thank you.
Hmm.
Do you do Reiki
Thank
like
you.
virtually? Like do you ever
I
practice?
can. I can do that. Yeah, it's been a little while since I've done it, but it's absolutely possible.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
I like my friend moved to New York and I was like, no. And it
I
was
could
We
definitely do
might
it at a distance.
need to book some sessions with you.
Yeah. I'd love
yeah.
that.
Do you work with
Hmm.
kids too?
I do, yeah. So I work as a coach as well. So I work like more on the emotional side, and I work with K through 12 students for coaching primarily. I do have some adults that I work with too, but right now the majority of my coaching is with K through 12.
Awesome.
Wow.
So cool.
That's like definitely needed, especially with
Hmm.
our iPad COVIDy kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, thank
Hmm.
you. And I know it's like a holiday weekend and Gabby's on location and Angela, it was so good to see your face.
No,
I
I know. Busy, busy, busy.
Hmm.
It was
I
really
know.
good talking to you, and I'm so glad you got to come
Yes.
on. Thank you so much,
Th
Monica.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much for reaching out, Gabby, and thank you all for the great conversation.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I'm gonna follow your foundation. So thank you. All right, you
Thank
guys.
you.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.
I'll see you guys soon. Bye. Bye, Gabby. Thank you.
Thank you.
Was it, did it,
Bye.
I just really quickly, was I rambling too much? I'm so sorry. Like I was,
No, no, no. I think it was perfect. So there was a situation here with one of the kids. There's like a party or event around here. And so apparently some kids went over to my son and his friend, his two friends, and they started like hitting them with things and throwing stuff around and cussing at them.
oh my
So
gosh.
that's why I had to leave.
Oh, okay. I
Um,
didn't know what was going on.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, are you okay?
yeah. It all worked out. We got security over here and they've left them alone. But yeah,
Okay, good. That's always tough. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, no, we were good. We were rocking and rolling. I just like
Okay,
I
cool.
wasn't I felt you had so many good questions and like I sometimes like end up going on little tangents and never get to my question and so
Oh,
there's too much time.
no,
Yeah.
it was perfect. I had already thought about the questions beforehand because I've seen her like
Stuff.
trajectory.
Yeah.
Yeah, like throughout the years and how she's like when she started, when she barely was like posting stuff on Facebook about it. So it was really cool to see like the transition and how she's grown and stuff. So these questions I've had for
A long time. Okay.
yeah, a long time.
Okay. I will I'm gonna look at the calendar and then I'll let you go because you're on location and she said June 7th, right? That's like really quick.
Yeah,
So I'm
June
gonna
7th.
flip flop. I'm gonna what I'm just what I'm thinking is I think I'm just gonna take Station Square out
Okay.
for episode 89 and then maybe just push everything back. And then if I can like
Okay.
do you have access really quickly? Do you have access to the Google Doc?
Right now.
No, you don't have to, but I'm saying do you
Oh,
have access to the Google
yeah.
Doc?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, I do.
Um
I thought you meant right now, like
no, you
at
don't
this
have
moment.
to. No, I might just push everything back. All right. I'll think about it. Okay, I'll let you I'm gonna message you later. You have to go. So I
Yeah.
will talk to you later. All right, bye.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.